Tom Bower isn't some random internet gossip. He's an 85-year-old royal biographer who's spent decades dismantling public facades, with nothing to lose and a reputation built on brutal honesty. So when he speaks about Meghan Markle, people don't just listen, they take notes. In his latest take, it's not just a jab at her character, it's an all-out assault on the very foundation of Meghan's carefully curated public image. At the heart of this explosion is a chapter Meghan has spent years trying to erase: the whispers about her so-called yacht girl past. Now, let's get one thing clear. This isn't about shaming someone for how they came up or undermining a woman's ambition. It's about contradictions that have piled up so high they've become impossible to ignore. For years, Meghan has positioned herself as a self-made Hollywood underdog who rose to royalty through hard work and grace. But Bower's account paints a very different picture. According to him, her rise was less about talent and more about calculated networking with powerful men, exclusive yacht parties, and convenient connections that pushed her up the ladder. Of course, Meghan has denied these rumors, calling them sexist and defamatory. But the thing about rumors is this: when they refuse to die for over a decade, people start asking why. And Tom Bower thinks he knows why. They fit a pattern. A pattern of image control, narrative reshaping, and an obsession with managing how she's perceived. The kind of pattern that cracks when the spotlight burns too hot. But Bower doesn't stop at the yacht parties. He digs deeper, into Meghan's almost obsessive relationship with Princess Diana. And this part gets uncomfortable. Meghan has tried to mirror Diana in nearly every way: outfits, poses, even the emotional vulnerability that once made Diana beloved by millions. But instead of inspiring the same sympathy, Meghan's efforts come across as forced, contrived, even theatrical. According to Bower, that's because authenticity can't be faked. Diana didn't need to try. She was vulnerable, raw, and tragically human. Meghan, in contrast, looks like someone performing vulnerability for the cameras, and the public is starting to notice. Remember the Oprah interview? It was supposed to redefine Meghan's narrative. Instead, fact-checkers tore through it within days. She claimed she never Googled Harry before they met, yet there are photos of her wearing his mother's jewelry long before their first date. She spoke about royal protocol as if it was brand new, yet she had royal-adjacent friends years before meeting Harry. It's not just one or two inconsistencies, it's the accumulation. Bower's words hit hard. When you tell enough lies, they begin to flood everything. And once they do, no one believes anything anymore. That brings us to the marriage. What looks like a dreamy fairy tale on the outside, Netflix documentaries, red carpet photos, posed family moments, is, according to Bower, little more than a business partnership hanging by a thread. He claims Meghan uses her daughter as a shield to deflect criticism and spin sympathy, while behind closed doors things are far less rosy than PR suggests. The signs, he argues, are everywhere. A growing emotional gap between Harry and Meghan, conflicting stories about their timeline, and photo ops that now feel less like love and more like desperate grabs for relevance. Here's the twist: for a while, Hollywood played along. Meghan was royalty, literally, and that carried weight. She got invited to elite events, rubbed shoulders with A-listers, and thought she had them in her corner forever. But something changed. The calls stopped coming. Producers began whispering. Big-name celebrities started keeping their distance. The shine faded. And Tom Bower says that's no accident. Hollywood is a strange beast. One moment you're the favorite underdog, the next you're the punchline at every dinner party. Meghan Markle thought her royal title guaranteed a permanent seat at the table. But that seat, Bower warns, is looking shakier by the day. The sparkle of being a duchess has dulled. Producers who once courted her now avoid her. Not because she's untalented, but because she's become unpredictable. And in Hollywood, unpredictability is poison. It isn't just producers. It's actors, directors, influencers. Meghan has turned into a brand liability. Nobody wants to be caught in the middle of whatever story she's spinning this month. The whispers have shifted. She's hard to work with. She makes everything about herself. She brings drama to sets and tension to rooms. And in Hollywood, they'll smile to your face while quietly crossing your name off the guest list. Bower argues this quiet exile isn't personal, it's strategic. No one wants to deal with the mess. And speaking of mess, Meghan's narrative has become unmanageable. From podcasts to Netflix specials, she's tried to be everything: the victim, the rebel, the feminist hero, the misunderstood royal, the protective mother. But the more identities she stacks on, the more it looks like performance. Audiences, especially ones tired of emotional manipulation, can smell it a mile away. One of Bower's most savage critiques is that Meghan's life feels produced.
Nothing is organic. Every photo is posed.
Every statement is focus grouped.
Every leak is intentional.
Her Netflix moments with Harry, staged. Her paparazzi shots in California, tipped off. Even her attempts at normal life feel like mini-productions with lighting and makeup. And this, Bower says, is what's destroying her.
Because when you try too hard to look authentic, you end up looking fake.
Then there's the chilling allegation of how Meghan uses her children. According to Bower's sources, she weaponizes motherhood, strategically placing her kids in headlines to shield herself from criticism. If backlash grows, suddenly there's a photo of her baking with Lily, or Harry mentioning bedtime stories with Archie. It's a subtle PR trick, but Bower calls it what it is: deflection.
And the Diana obsession?
Obsession isn't an exaggeration. From wardrobe to camera angles, Meghan has studied Diana like a role to be played. But where Diana's sorrow broke hearts, Meghan's sadness feels curated. Where Diana's pain inspired compassion, Meghan's performances inspire eye rolls. As Bower puts it, you can't be Diana. Diana was spontaneous, raw, beloved. Meghan is none of those things.
The most brutal part?
People have stopped giving her the benefit of the doubt. They don't just question her stories, they assume they are lies.
Every new claim is met with skepticism.
Every contradiction adds to the pile. And once you're branded a liar, even your truths sound fake. That, Bower argues, is Meghan's downfall. Not because she was flawed, but because she tried too hard to fake perfection in front of too many cameras for too long. There was a time when people rooted for her, the outsider who married into one of the world's most traditional families. American, biracial, self-made, everything the monarchy wasn't.
That contrast was compelling. It made her stand out.
But sympathy eroded, not because of who she was, but because of what she kept trying to be.
Tom Bower doesn't mince words. He calls it the collapse of a brand.
And when you see Meghan not as a person, but as a brand, the picture becomes clear. Every interview, every partnership, every public appearance has been engineered to push an image. Powerful yet relatable, glamorous yet grounded, royal yet rebellious. That was the image Meghan tried to project. But when too many of those images contradict each other, people start asking uncomfortable questions. And when those contradictions pile up, the brand begins to lose credibility. One of the final blows came when Spotify pulled the plug on Meghan's podcast deal. A multi-million-dollar partnership evaporated with barely a goodbye. The platform, once eager to feature her voice, walked away with almost nothing to show for it. Insiders said the content lacked substance, that it was all fluff and no depth. Others claimed she barely did any of the work herself.
And this wasn't just a bad business deal. It was a warning sign for the industry.
If Spotify couldn't make it work with a royal, why would anyone else take the risk?
Then came Netflix.
Once the crown jewel in the Sussex media empire, that relationship is reportedly cooling, too. Viewership didn't match the hype.
The projects that followed failed to resonate.
And behind the scenes, executives began seeing the same red flags: too much control, not enough collaboration. Too much image crafting, not enough substance. Bower paints the picture of a woman who believed the title Duchess would open every door, only to discover that titles don't mean much once trust is gone. Even the royal family, famous for their tight-lipped diplomacy, have distanced themselves completely.
Charles doesn't mention her. William refuses to speak about her.
Kate won't even acknowledge her presence in interviews. Meghan has become the name no one brings up, the subject everyone avoids.
It's not drama anymore. It's damage control.
For the royals, it's easier to pretend she doesn't exist than to deal with the chaos she leaves behind. Social media hasn't been kind either. Clips of Meghan's interviews get chopped up and ridiculed. Her speeches are analyzed for inconsistencies. Old footage resurfaces and goes viral with sarcastic captions. The audience she once inspired now watches with skepticism. Even fans who once defended her have gone quiet, or turned critical.
Meghan is no longer the hero or the villain. She's the question mark.
People don't know what to believe anymore. And in PR, confusion is just as bad press. Tom Bower's most cutting line is also the simplest: her lies could flood the earth. It sounds dramatic, but the point is clear. When someone tells too many stories, the audience eventually stops listening altogether.
And Meghan has reached that point.
The contradictions, the staged moments, the failed projects, they've all built to one conclusion: the brand is collapsing. Once, she believed she could control the narrative forever, that with the right angle, the right lighting, the right headline, she could shape how the world saw her.
But the world is tired of angles. They are tired of PR.
They want something real. And Meghan, for all her effort, just doesn't feel real anymore.
The fairy tale is over. What's left is the fallout.
And in Bower's view, that fallout isn't temporary. It's the beginning of the end. Not of Meghan the person, but of Meghan the idea, the carefully built, endlessly managed brand.